can get it if you really want. You succeed at plastic.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dr. Duncan McCollum coming from you live from KSCO. And what a great day it is. It's the first day that I felt the warmth coming through. And it's a great thing to wake up in the morning and feel like you want to go outside and work around the yard and take care of rusty fence gate hinges and things along that line. But, you know, a lot of you probably know, this is McCollum Wellness Radio. I come on the show typically with not a real subject in mind, because I find that I do a lot better when I just come on and just kind of speak through divinity or whatever it is that comes through my mind. Listening to Tom Quinn's show on the way in, of course, he's talking about a subject that I brought up a couple weeks ago, which is what happened to the Western medicine, the AMA, going back 1910. When Rockefeller, basically having already accumulated 90% of all of the oil wells and refineries in the country through thick and thin, and at the expense of nobody individually, also got together with Carnegie, Dale Carnegie, who did the same thing with steel. Basically monopolized and pushed out the small guy. Well, about that time, scientists started to play around with sulfa drugs, or drugs derived from oil, and it became very clear that oil-derived drugs had a huge impact on some of the diseases and things that were going on throughout the world at that point. This was a great opportunity for Rockefeller to jump into the pharmaceutical industry, create it, and once he realized the profit margin in it, started to realize that his competition was the age-old homeopathic, holistic, grandmother passed down medicines over the years that all came from herbs, you know, herbs and remedies. And these were competition. There was 180 homeopathic teaching hospitals or schools in America, Northern America, during that time. Well, because they were in competition, they didn't push drugs. Basically, they got together and through the Carnegie Institute, hired a gentleman named Fletcher, who put out the Fletcher Report, that basically went out and created propaganda talking about all of the scientific, or all of the remedies throughout the ages of snake oil, if they didn't line up with the parapharmaceutical industry that was coming out. And Rockefeller was able to go to Congress, and through the power that he had accumulated, was able to put pressure on the Congress to say anybody who didn't line up with the new what was to become the American Medical Association model were practicing quackery and should be destroyed. And that basically is what ensued. Now, that's not to say that there were some life-saving medications that came out, but one would think that those would be used to enhance the health of a population so that the body can do what it's supposed to do, which is heal itself. There's an innate intelligence in our body, and that innate intelligence is to survive and to overcome any obstacles that can in the process of trying to survive or surviving. Throughout the generations, we've grown up through eons. Evolution has taken all of the species and from plants, animals, molds, bacteria, all of those things, up through the ages in a symbiotic relationship of an ability to live and handle the environment. And when you introduce something incredibly fast, like the medications, it can break down that ecosystem that our bodies have been used to. I'll jump forward to 1970 when Dr. Blaylock, who won the Nobel Prize for creating a wheat that yielded 7 times the normal yield of wheat, won the Nobel Prize. He was working in Mexico City, and his goal was to end world hunger. So he kept crossbreeding wheat plants until he got this yield. Well, it was looked on as a great thing, but it jumped evolution several centuries, if not more, of the evolution of these things called glutens in the wheat. And the bodies, the human bodies and the environment, even the molds and yeast in the ground that broke down the wheat or broke down the foods we ate made of wheat, had not kept up with the gradual evolution of these products. And so now we have gluten sensitivities to glutens, that hundreds and thousands of glutens that were never created along the evolutionary line, but fast-tracked into existence. And as a result, not only do we have a huge amount of disease in this one area, but remember the song America the Beautiful, there's a line in there of amber waves of grain. Well, those amber waves of grain became stocky stalks of wheat, stocky sticks of wheat that didn't even wave in the wind anymore. And this wheat, even though the yield was great, was not digestible by us, and it created more of things like irritable bowel syndrome, added to colitis, chronic malabsorption syndromes, and all these other things, then mineral deficiencies that have created a myriad of disease across the country these days. So when we look at where we are today, I titled this show today, Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And you can get it if you really want it by Jimmy Cliff. But you know what? It's about time. And if you listen to the Tom Quinn show before me, he's always got some great speakers on there talking about the evolution of our body, the toxins, a lot of things that have been put into our body. So take a look at the foods, the toxins in the foods, the glyphosate. 4.5 billion tons of toxins are dumped on our planet every year. And we're rated 47th in the world for health. You got to kind of take a look at what is driving us. Now, I have friends that I love dearly that just kind of go along in life, and they just go to work, they come home, make a paycheck, they have great families, they love their children, they're raising their children, they're going to colleges, getting a good job. But I'm not going to say but, and they've chosen to not really be completely aware of the world, of what's going on in the world around them. I mean, today in the news, we've got potentially, things being shot out of the sky. We don't even know what they are or where they come from. Now the CDC is saying that apparently, as they look at the VAERS, VEARS reports that go on their own website, and you can look this up, they're now saying that the amount of strokes and heart attacks coinciding with vaccinated individuals is high enough that they're questioning whether or not these were safe in the first place. So this is a very scary thing. There's many people out there that were curious to begin with why something that had never been tested on long enough on humans, or even probably rats or lab animals, was put out and forced as mandatory on a society. And now again, those of us that say shopper beware are feeling a little bit more comfortable in our resolve on the fact that we chose not to have some of these things, for those of us that did. I've seen lots of patients in my office on both sides, and I'm not going to go into that, but I can tell you that there's a lot of evidence to the contrary of the safety and sanity of what's going on just in that one thing alone. Now we have things going on in Ohio where their vinyl chloride, or whatever the heck it is, exploded into the air, and it's now reaping havoc across several states and 10% of the water supply of the country. And you got to take a look and go, what do I do? What do I do next? I'm not saying all this stuff because I think that I have the answer to world issues. I don't. But I do know that a body that's healthy is going to function better. It's going to handle the elements better and survive long term with the least amount of ailments, as opposed to bodies that don't have that advantage. So there's really three things that we can do. Number one is you can make sure that your house is not filled with toxic chemicals. You look under your sink, you probably got a myriad of things like Raid and Ajax and all these. I probably shouldn't name all these on the air, but so many of these things, even Clorox, these things they're toxic to our body, and some of the things that we put on our body. A friend of mine came to me the other day and said, wow, look at this rock. You can use this rock as deodorant. It's really cool. You just rub this rock under your arm and, all of a sudden you don't have BO. And I said, oh, okay, here we go again. We knew this about 10 to 15 years ago. What's the rock called? Oh, it's alum. Oh, like aluminum or aluminum? Yeah, it's an aluminum-based rock that stops perspiration. But again, you're putting aluminum under your arms. Aluminum, back 20, 30 years ago, they were saying it could be related to things like dementia and Alzheimer's disease in its infancy. And so when we really take a look at what we can do to improve our health or safeguard our health so that we are able to withstand the next wave. What's the next wave going to be? Is it going to be a toxic chemical dump in our neighborhood? Is it going to be another virus released by parties unknown? Is it going to be attacked by another country or an alien force on the planet? I mean, it's scary to look at what's going on out there. And one thing that I was listening to was a subject about hypnotism. And how do you hypnotize somebody? You repeat the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again until that becomes the predominant thought of the individual. So if you watch mainstream media, or if you tune into any news on a regular basis, or if even the books you read, the people you listen to, and you get this input of the same or similar subjects over and over and over again, it can't help but become part of your beingness or your DNA, unless you have an incredibly strong resolve. So be careful what you listen to. Be careful who you hang around with and the books you read, because the conspiracy theories are thick and the mainstream media is thick. If you ever had a chance to watch some of the videos out on the premonition of the epidemic that was produced, and then you see the news media, every single one of them are repeating almost the exact line, word for word for word, ad infinitum. And you turn this on and you watch it and you get blasted with this over and over and over again. It can't help but sink into you to a point where your body's going to react in a stressful way. So we have three types of stresses in the world, in our lives. One of them is chemical, endocrine hormones. The other is physical. nervous system, and the third one is mental, which is potentially one of the worst. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to listen to my patient Karen, who came in for using the stem cells machine. She had a series of operations, and it's amazing to look at her story, but it's even more amazing to hear her results from a few treatments in our office with the stem cell machine. So we'll listen to that, because something can be done about it. Just because you've gone down every path and it hasn't solved your problem doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep searching. She was in line to have her pelvis fused in 6 weeks when she decided to come in and try our machine. And let's listen to what she has to say, and I'll be back in a few minutes. You've had a few different surgeries in your back.
Yeah, at least 6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah, and you have steel putting the last 3 vertebrae together, and steel in your neck,
Yes,
and you were still in pain after that.
yes.
So they implanted in your spine stimulation.
Spinal cord stimulator, yeah.
And did that help you?
No, it made everything so much worse.
Yeah.
And then they revised that twice and added more paddles and stitched it all in. It continued to get worse, all trying to resolve the problem that they caused by putting it in, which was a diaphragm cramp.
Yeah.
That never went away.
Yeah.
It started the day I woke up from the permanent implant, and it ended last week. And
Wow.
you took care of me. Like, was it
Oh my
last
God,
week?
that's amazing.
How
long was that? How many?
3 years.
3 years.
Almost to the day, yeah, March is
Wow.
when it started.
I remember you walking in, you just were bent over.
Yeah, because I couldn't breathe. Every time I take a breath, I cramped, so I was like this.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to stand and breathe and.
The next week he came in and said, my low back is so painful, this is better, can we do anything for your low back? So we said, well, let's try that. So what happened there?
I just went back just a little bit. The spinal cord stimulator was implanted because I was having severe pelvic and sciatic nerve pain on both sides, all the way to my feet.
Wow.
All the time. I couldn't sit more than 10 to 15 minutes. I couldn't sleep more than 20 minutes. So I was willing to do that spinal cord stimulator. That's an important piece but last week you put the TRT and the pain stopped and it's all but gone. I watched the 49er game for an hour in a row in a chair.
Wow.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And I was able to walk on the beach. It's really changing everything. Yeah, those are God bumps.
Yeah.
And I have them too.
Yeah.
Because I know it's a miracle. I know, and I always knew the problem came from the surgeries because it started when we started surgeries. Yeah. I was a severely frequent urinator, like 20 to 30 minutes, just like getting up out of the chair, and it's so much better. Yeah. It's hours, and I'm urinating 6 as many times. Wow. And we talked about the nerve that come out of your low back where all that metal is. And that makes sense. Goes to the bladder, and those nerves, since we're in here, are the nerves that come out of your low back where your surgeries were, and those nerves go to the bladder. By taking pressure off those nerves, your bladder's working better. I know. It's like real. Yeah. You see, now you could not have done that 2 weeks ago. I would have screamed. Wow. Hello, everybody. Dr. Duncan McCollum, McCollum Wellness Radio, back. And I just wanted to thank Karen for allowing me to play that. You know, and when she says she had the spinal stimulators put in her back, they were surgeries where they implanted them in her mid-back or her thoracic spine. So she already had a lot of steel to titanium in her low back and in her neck. But you know what? The point is that it's not weight tore that bad. You don't have to be that bad to do something about it. I had a woman, she's 80 years old, come in a week ago with low back and knee problems. And, you know, very vibrant woman.
And she looked at me and she goes, I feel very active. I want to be active. I love being in my life, but this pain is making me miserable. And you could see the pain and the grayness in her face. The grayness was kind of like, I want to go somewhere, but I can't get there type of feeling. And it's been there. This has been something that's been going on for so long that it was weighing her down like an anchor. And so the first treatment we did was on her knee. She came back a couple days later and said, this is amazing. I've not had the pain in my knee, but now my low back hurts. So we did one on her low back the other day, and she came out. She looked 20 years younger. And, pain is one of those things that when you get it and it's chronic, it owns you. And it owns you to a point where it almost hypnotizes you. I was talking about hypnosis earlier, how what you do is you repeat the same phrase over and over and over and over and over again, or the same line, or the same vision. And pretty soon that vision becomes your predominant thought. And that predominant thought is whatever the author wanted that you to be thinking or breathing or what have you. So when you have pain and it persists and it's a chronic pain and you've tried several things to handle it, a lot of times people resort to things like injections, cortisone shots, ablation where they burn the nerve, surgeries, these type of things. And I imagine that, the statistics say that they do work about 30% of the time. 30% of the time you're the same, 30% of the time you're worse on back surgeries. So that means like 60% of the time you're going to be the same or worse, 60% of the time you'd be the same or better. But 30, really most of it may or may not be effective. But the one thing is, whether it works or not, you can never go back. So I see the failures, no doubt. But let's get back to the hypnosis thing. So you get something, you wake up, in every waking moment of your life, you have pain dictating your actions, your thoughts, your ability to move. It's going to weigh on you, and it's going to change your thought process. You're going to start to think, well, what do I not do today so I don't increase this pain? Or what do I do to not increase the pain, and then pretty soon your life, it owns you. This owns you. And maybe that's your lot, but maybe it can change. So I really want people to think about, you can get it if you really want, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. If you continue to do the same thing and you're not getting the results you want, talk to Einstein. Is it worth a $49 chance to come in to see if what we have can change you? If not, and you did it, well, at least you know. But the amount of people that we see remarkable results are on just make it mandatory for me to come up and talk about it, because I love to see people do well in life. So the other part of it is what Tom Quinn's show talked about a lot, is the neurotoxicity brought on by not only the environment, but things that people have chosen to have put into their body over the last few years. And even the CDC now, if you look at the CDC website and go to the VEARS, VEARS, and start to look at the amount of recorded injuries, and now even the CDC is starting to question why the amount of strokes and heart-related, blood clot-related things is so much higher in people that got the vaccine. Yet we were inundated for years, and still today, inundated with commercials dictating that we get vaccinated. The heads of state dictating that we get vaccinated. And some did and some didn't. And I know some people that did and they're doing great. I know others that did and they're not. So, but really the point being, again, that we got inundated with a narrative that was not realistic to everybody on the planet. If you already had a chronic disease, you're already susceptible. You're probably going to have more damage done. So when we look at what's going on a neurological or a chemical level, though, just like with the TRT and the nervous system and chiropractic, getting the chemistry in your body as healthy as possible is very important. And one way that you depollute a stream is stop dumping things in it. Eventually, that stream is going to be running clean water from its source, and it will clean up the environment. Hopefully that will happen in Ohio. I don't know what the correlation is there. It's going to take a long time. But when we're constantly putting bad things into our body, the filter system in our body has to be working extremely well to put up with it and so that we don't have the adverse effects of it. That system really consists of 5 things. There's 5 detoxification systems in our body. And probably I won't even rate them, but the liver cleans our blood, dumps all the toxins into our large intestine, and then our large intestine eliminates it that way. So our liver has to be really working really well, and it has to be able to break down new toxins in nanoseconds before it kills the body. Some of those, like the vinyl chloride or whatever it was called, that was dumped on off the train. I don't know how long it took to actually make that stuff, but it's one of the most deadly chemicals on the planet, mercury being the most. And so that gets into your body. Guess what? It will kill you in a heartbeat unless your liver can break it down and do something to get that harmful toxin nullified in your body. And that's what the liver does. Oops, I'll take this off of there. Okay, so I see that my YouTube thing got a little hot, so I moved it, but I'm going to continue on with the radio show and the Zoom show. So we know that we have to keep our kidneys, our liver, our lungs, our skin, and our mind clean. We need to constantly be detoxifying it. So the number one detoxifying agent in our body is the liver. Second, the kidneys through our urine. Third, the lungs through breathing in oxygen and breathing out toxic gases. And fourth, the skin, not necessarily in any order because different toxins have to get out of our body in different ways. And the fifth is your mind. Our mind is a powerful thing. And if we don't take care of it, it's going to have a major problem and get us sick. I was talking earlier about, what's going on with the people we hang around with, the books that we read. And if we hang around with the bad elements, our bodies can be affected by those bad elements. So there we go. I think my live feed is back up here, hopefully, on my Facebook. I made the mistake of forgetting my cell phone holder today. There we go. So I put it up against my computer and it got too hot. Looks like I'm going to have to restart my Facebook. At any rate, I hope this is making sense to you. I think the take-home message is you can do whatever you want in your life. It's up to you to change your attitude, to change the people you hang around with, to change the foods you eat, to change the chemicals and the sources that you're exposed to. And it might be overwhelming. I imagine it is. So what we need to do is reach out to somebody that knows what they're talking about and what they can do to help you. So we're always there to try to help you in any way we can. I think if you really take a look at what's going on with the news media, that's the biggest dilemma that we have to overcome, is being able to take a look at what is being told to us out there and decipher and discern what is the real information. Apologize for being a little distracted here for a minute. I had to get my Facebook up and running again, which it is. I'm going to have to just hold it because I don't have my thing. So please put up with that for a minute. All right. So where are we? We're at a point where we should make a decision on where we want tomorrow to be. Now, this is many different avenues. We can do it health-wise. And of course, if you're in a lot of pain, then, or any pain, then pain is there to tell you that something's wrong. And if you are in pain, I recommend that you get to some type of healthcare professional that could help you with that. And, you know, whether it's an acupuncturist, a chiropractor, an osteopath, massage therapist, somebody that can help take some of the stress off of your body. And we're in Santa Cruz, we're in Capitola, actually, the Brown Ranch Shopping Center, and we have a $49 special for you to come in, sit down and talk with me. We'll do an evaluation of you, see where your health is at. If it looks like it would be helpful for us to do a stem cell treatment on you, we'll do that, included for that price. And then you can make a decision on whether or not it helped you for yourself. And if so, we'll talk about what else you can do. But you know what? If your predominant thought is, I'm in pain, what do I do to get out of pain? Or I'm tired, or it might even got to the point where you don't even consciously think that way anymore. You just wake up and move around your life, limiting yourself from actions that you once thought were fun because you now know that it was impossible for you to do. So we're going to take a break here for a minute. We'll listen to my friend Lauren talk about her some of her experiences. She's a very successful realtor in town. She's really busy. She had a terrible bike accident where she flew off a 90-foot cliff in Nisene Mark Park and had to be airlifted out, broke her jaw in 7 places, several different parts of her body. And she's an active person. And the stem cell machine, as well as chiropractic, has helped her a lot. So we'll be back in just a second. Hey, this is Dr. Duncan McCollum, and I have this amazing patient, Lauren, here, and she had a few things to say.
Hi, I'm Lauren Spencer, a local realtor, and I've been seeing Duncan for years now. I had a biking accident, and he's been adjusting me since then, and it's been amazing. But lately, I've had trouble with my feet, and I'm an avid walker, avid biker, avid golfer, and my feet were aching all the time. And I tried Duncan's TRT machine, which is an amazing stem cell machine that rejuvenates the cells. And my feet, I've had like 3 or 4 sessions with the machine, and my feet are like new, no aches, no pains. It's a miracle. So I really highly recommend Duncan and his chiropractic services, but also that TRT machine. You got to try it. Thanks.
Wow, thanks, Lauren. That was awesome. So we still have the $49 special. Come on in and see if it works for you. Thank you.
See that?
Okay, Dr. Duncan McCollum back. If you want to succeed at last, call my office, 831-459-9990, and tell them that you're interested in trying the stem cell machine. Could change your life. Changed my life. I would probably have been out of practice 5 years ago if I hadn't found it, because my shoulder was so messed up from years and years and years of adjusting, years and years of injuries, sports injuries as a kid, working on a 20-acre farm for 20 years. And just our bodies go through so much of abuse. And if you've ever watched that Monty Python on the Hunt for the Holy Grail, where that guy's, standing at the edge of the river fighting off, I don't know if it was a knight of I forget what they're called. But anyway, he cuts off one arm, the other leg, the other leg. And pretty soon he's just a head there going, I'll get you, it's just a flesh wound, come on. And, and he's fighting for it and fighting for it. But, we don't have to lose all that in order to succeed in life. We can change the people we hang out with. We can start to write down what it is that we want to see happen, what our goals are, what our dreams are. It's amazing to me in my own life, going up and down, things that occur all the time. I have patients come in quite often who listen to the show, and thank you very much for those of you that do. And you oftentimes say, wow, you have such an amazing story. And, I just think, well, it's just my story. Don't we all have our own story? And we do. Make your story an amazing story for you with an amazing ending. And maybe that's too much to ask. Just say, I just want to go shopping. I just want to lift my grandkids up, or walk. I want to be able to stand or walk or do the knitting or sewing that I like to do. So if you just take a look and assess where you are today and anywhere along your life and go, okay, 1 out of 10, where am I health-wise? Activity-wise that I would like to be doing. Did I used to have sports? Did I golf, ride bikes, garden, get down and play with my cat or dog on the ground? How would I rate myself for that now? And I don't care how old you are. The oldest patient I ever treated was 105 years old. And he came in his wife actually referred him in. And we met her at the Santa Cruz County Fair one year. And she came in, she was 103 at the time, by the way. She came up and started jumping around and kicking her foot up in the air going, look at me, I'm as healthy as I can be, and I'm only 103. And, I talked to her and said, well, gosh, it sounds like you're doing great. She goes, yeah, but I want to see what you can do for me. I want to see how much better I can do. It was amazing. I have their pictures in my office, both of them, 103, 105. And they grew up or raised their family in Scotts Valley on a ranch. They never went out to dinner. They never went to the grocery store. For most parts, they grew everything, harvested everything, including their eggs and their milk and their meat. And that had something to say for a healthy lifestyle. Not everybody can do that now. Very few people can do that now. But the point is that you can do something. And that could be just a minor change in something in your life that could make a huge difference in your future, yes, or today, tomorrow, and 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. Sometimes people come in and, we look at their spine and maybe they're 40, 50, 60 years old. I just turned 67 on the 12th of February. And, I'm now signing up for Social Security finally. And why not? It's there for me. I've paid into it. But I have people come in my age group, and they kind of feel like, well, their lot in life is done. They might have gone, and this is sad to me. They're so inundated in the Western medicine that they're looking at surgeries and injections first, where most of the time, all conservative treatment should be exhausted before you do something invasive. And chiropractic is about as non-invasive as it can get, especially when you look at the nutritional detoxification things, which you do yourself. By the way, you can buy my books, New Hope for Sciatica, or Turn Back Your Biological Clock on Amazon. I should probably also say that you can see almost all of my shows on YouTube at Dr. Duncan McCollum on YouTube. Please subscribe. That would be very helpful for me. Buy my books on Amazon. That would be very helpful. I have a podcast, McCollum Wellness Radio, that you can tune into, and there's a lot of great stuff on there. And then my Facebook, Duncan McCollum, is also a great venue. But, share me. Let's, one thing I try to do on here is I mean, when I first started my show, I thought I had to be like a doctor, and had people interviewing me and making me sound doctor-like. But the more and more I've been on the show, which is coming up to 5 years, I think, the more I realize that people just want information, and I've only got the information that I can give out. I've got had some amazing people on the show. I'm going to have some more people on here soon. Oftentimes I'm so busy doing what I'm doing that it's all I can do to get myself here and try to give you my thoughts of what inspired me this week. So I think that if you can just take a look at a couple things that you can do is eliminate a couple foods out of your diet. If you've got any kind of inflammation in your body, if you're, bloated, if you have bloating right after eating, you probably have some kind of bacterial overgrowth in your small intestine. You'll be hearing about SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, more and more in the future. But start eliminating some of the main inflammatory foods: wheats, grains, dairy products, all inorganic foods, even citrus. These are the type of things that are very inflammatory for your body. So you can eliminate those for a couple of weeks. And if anything changes, then you know that you potentially were exposed or allergic to some of them. So after a little while, you can start to implement them back into your diet one at a time and see if it creates a problem for you. If it does, then that's the food you should eliminate. Yes, Marcia, thank you so much. I am on Tuesday now. No, Monday from 2 to 3. So I'm here 1 to 2 on Saturday and 2 to 3 on Mondays. So anyway, I think we're talking about the 3 stressors in life, and I've talked about the nervous system. I'm gonna jump back to that for a minute though, because I've had patients come in recently with head traumas, concussions, whiplash accidents, headaches, these kind of things, and they also have a lot of digestive issues that go along with it. And the very top bone in your neck, called the atlas, where the nerves come out of your brain and go down into the first bone, and then most of them go right through the center of your spine, but one jumps out from your spine there and goes outside of your spine. It's a cranial nerve called the vagus nerve, and that vagus nerve controls all of the autonomic nervous system, all of your parasympathetic organs, the heart, lungs, liver, kidney, gallbladder, spleen. All those things are controlled by the vagus nerve that comes out of your brain and then out of your spine and goes external to the spine and sends signals back and forth from the body, from those organs to the brain and back and vice versa. Now just think about how brilliant this is, because if that life support nerve went down through the center of your spine and you had a spinal cord injury, cutting off that vagus nerve, your organs that keep you alive without you thinking about it would no longer work and it would kill you. So as our bodies evolve, the vagus nerve comes out of the top of the brain, top of the spine, outside of the spinal column, and then controls all of the organs. So if you do have a mid-back spinal injury that could leave you paralyzed or what have you, your organs still work because of the vagus nerve. The point I'm getting at is so many injuries occur at the atlas, and so many traumas at the atlas are causing incredible health problems, from energy levels, thyroid disease, adrenal gland problems, digestive issues. And so what we end up doing is we treat these symptoms with a lot of these remedies that came out of the age of medicine that started with Rockefeller. Boy, it seems like a long time ago I started the show talking about him. But we're to a point now that if Western medicine and that model worked, and I'm not saying it doesn't work, but if it worked the way that it should, which meant that we were healthy, we'd be the healthiest country in the world. But if it worked the way it was intended, to sell more and more medications longer and longer to more and more people, then we would be the sickest country in the world with one of the largest bills when it comes to medicine. And that's what we are. $4.3 trillion on health in 2021. 4.3 trillion. And rated 47th in the world for health, the most obese country in the world. So I get on here on Saturdays and Mondays, and I just kind of talk about what's on my mind. Sometimes I have more of an agenda than others, but I think that, you know, the main thing for us to realize is if we're not talking about our health and how to improve our health, then it's not going to happen. We're going to buy anything and the greatest thing that comes along, which would be the next special medication. You know, it's crazy when you look at TV and you wonder why all of the news medias are messed up. Doesn't matter if you're on one side or the other. Every commercial, or at least 2 out of 3 commercials, is a drug commercial. So who owns the media? Rockefeller set that up too. So it's almost like you have a company that made a product being responsible to prove the safety and efficacy of that product. That's insane. You know, of course, everybody's honest in this world and wants to put out perfect products. But so you have a company put out a medication, and then they're the ones responsible for doing the testing. And then the safety committees that are supposed to watch over the peoples of OIF take the word of the company that made the product that stands to make billions of dollars off of it. We're in trouble. So again, when I've been paying a little bit more attention to some of the streaming and the media and all of the stuff out there in the world that's coming down to us, from things being shot out of the air to the turnaround of the thought of the safety of some of the vaccines that have been out there, the increase in strokes and heart attacks to people that are very healthy athletes. And you know, you kind of take a look at it, and after a while you scratch your head and go, you know, we need to wake up. And so that's one reason I'm here, helping you realize that perhaps there's something that you could do better for your health. You have 3 different types of stress: mental, physical, and chemical. When you get hypnotized by the media, you watch any of it over a period of time, pretty soon that's going to be you're either going to be incredibly scared that it's going to happen, believe it's going to happen, or believe it's true. Nobody's going to watch the same thing over and over and over again if they disagree with it, because it would make them sick to disagree with it. So if you continue to watch it with a minor bit of disagreement and you continue to watch it, pretty soon it's going to become like breathing air or drinking water. That's going to be the mainstay. So be careful who you listen to, and check the sources and see where the payoff is on all of these things. Because I think at this point, this world is really crazy. I mean, take a look at some of the main superpowers and what's going on, and the amount of threat by these countries, and how they're putting strangleholds on different countries, and especially us, and how they're buying up property, you know, close to some of our key institutions to protect us. And sure, we can go along happy as a clam, just waiting for the next foot to drop, hoping that all goes well, hoping that some crazy guy doesn't take off in the neighborhood. But I think that the more informed we are, the better off we are able to help our families and ourselves and leave a better planet there, better planet behind us. So I'm really interested in making a difference. Some of the stuff I say on here may resonate with you, some may not. And even some of it is just thoughts that I don't know that I can back up and necessarily, but they're worth thinking about and looking about. But I do know one thing, that what you think about, you talk about, what you talk about, you bring about. So if you wake up and all you can think about is how you're going to not make your pain get worse today, then you're going to limit your activities in your life and your happiness. If you wake up and go, how can I do something better today than I did yesterday? How can I help more people? In fact, I'll tell you that the key that I've learned is the way that you succeed in life is to serve others. Success equals serve. That's my favorite book in my office. If you ever come in to meet me, I'll show it to you. It's one book, one page, one word. It says the key to success. You open it up and says serve. A lot of times when people are unable to focus outward onto the world around them and others around them, all they can do is focus inward onto all of their issues and all their problems and all their concerns. They're not happy people. The people that are able to exteriorize, the ones that can look to help somebody else, communicate and make somebody else smile, truly out of your love for people, the happier you're going to be, the more successful you're going to be in your life. So I hope this has been at least entertaining for you today. I appreciate KSCO Radio for allowing me to come on here and just talk freely about what's on my mind. And hopefully you'll decide to do something to change your life. And if that means get you feeling better pain-wise, and I can help you with that, come in and see me. McCollum Family Chiropractic, 831-459-9990. We'd love to have you come in and try our stem cell machine. It's $49. You get an exam consultation, and we'll find out whether it makes sense to go forward. No charge for doing that. If it makes sense that we at least try the stem cell machine, it's $49.99 for a treatment and an X-ray of the area that we're going to be looking at, because I want to know what's going on inside. I'm assuming that you're not coming in just to get some temporary relief. I mean, that's great, and go for it if that's what you need. But then hopefully you'll realize that you can get more than that. And you're going to go, what can I do to change my life, change my health, try to make my body as healthy as it can be, physically, chemically, and mentally. And those three things are the key to happy, healthy living. So appreciate Dave Michaels over there running the board. Hey, Dave. And Billy's in the house working on something. These guys are doing everything they can to keep KSCO on the air so that you have a place to hear the opinions untainted by the powers that be, but by individuals. And I know there's time for you to come on here. You can call and talk to MZ and get on here and figure out what you can do to change the world. We appreciate it. And here we go. We'll see you next week.